Hey guys, welcome to the crib. Today we're going to get into this funeral home fiasco that's going on all around the country. Funeral homes are taking payments, they're taking the bodies, but instead of cremating people or burying them, they put them in the basement and they rot. I'm not joking. This viewer discretion is advised on this one. Let's go.
Today, those two U-Haul trailers had been parked in front of the Andrew T. Cockley Funeral Home for weeks. Neighbors complained about the odor coming from them. Finally today, the city and the state came in to check. Each of those two trucks contained 50 bodies waiting there, piled in there for some time. The city and state health workers who showed up at the Andrew T. Cockley Funeral Home on Utica Avenue today came upon a disturbing scene. The two U-Haul trucks parked in front of the home held as many as 50 bodies each. Most not in caskets, but body bags and in various states of decomposing. Neighbors for days have been taking video of the bodies dragged into the unrefrigerated trucks and stacked on top of one another.
They have bodies in the vans, in body bags on top of each other. And,
When you say on top of each other, on shelves or just right on top of each other?
Some on shelves and some on just on top of each other.
Responding to complaints of the odor coming from the funeral parlor, the city and state stepped in today. Workers dressed head to toe in protective gear. They transferred the bodies to two refrigerated trucks provided by the city. It had all been going on a while.
I've seen bodies being carried out of here all month in body bags. And
right out onto the street.
Right onto the street, all month long I've seen them carried out. I can't believe how many bodies came out of there. It's amazing.
This funeral home is overcapacitated with human remains, and that is true.
Dr. David Penepent is a funeral director who teaches at SUNY Canton. He was brought in by the state to help here.
He got overwhelmed with the number of remains that he had, and he didn't know what to do, and I'm here to assist him in this operation.
Eyewitness News has shown other funeral homes, this one in Queens, that also had many bodies to handle because of the COVID-19 crisis, but they were handling them in accordance with the rules and with a proper respect for the dead and their families. What the state found when it got to the Cockley Funeral Home today, and what neighbors have been seeing for weeks, was much different.
I've seen a lot of disrespect to dead bodies.
If they would do that to my father or my mother or my sister or my child, I would go crazy.
The number of people dying from the virus is, of course, lower now, but many funeral homes across the city are still behind and still trying to catch up from the peak. Clearly, this is one still struggling with the number of bodies.
The Nevada Current reported the Heights Funeral Home and Cremation will be without a license for 6 months. Oh, 6. What are we going to do? 6 months, honey. We got to close for 6 months. And I'm sorry, Eminem, but in Detroit, 11 corpses of babies were found inside Cantrell Funeral Home on Detroit's east side. It was said to be plagued by jaw-dropping violations that piled up and prompted visits from state investigators. They found numerous corpses hidden throughout the funeral home, and in fact, actually found a stillborn hidden in a box. They found 11 more bodies of deceased infants ranging from gestation up to only a couple of months old, and some of them appear to even have been mummified. The state of Michigan, of course, revoked licensing for the owners and immediately shut it down.
We begin tonight with that breaking news. The state shutting down a well-known funeral home in the city of Detroit.
7 Action News reporter Brian Abel joins us live from the scene. Brian, what did investigators find that forced them to take this action?
Some pretty disgusting details inside. They've been pulling up here all afternoon to the funeral home. There's some right now, more in a nearby parking lot, seemingly taking away remains of people yet to be cremated or buried inside after the state shut this funeral home down. Now, the owner telling us he stored bodies in the garage to keep the smell out of the funeral home. Bodies in advanced stages of decomposition and an unsanitary embalming room are some of the reasons the state of Michigan says it's shut down Cantrell Funeral Home on Mack Avenue in Detroit.
There are individuals here who have been here for some time in my attempt to accommodate my community.
Owner Raymond Cantrell says he hasn't read the allegations against him that include investigators finding multiple bodies decomposing to the point they appear to be covered in mold, with another body's face covered in unknown liquids. Cantrell says he was keeping the bodies in an unrefrigerated garage until families could pay to bury or cremate the remains.
If I had them in the funeral home, then my funeral home would not smell fresh. So yes, they are embalmed, they've had their service, and we put them in the garage.
With Cantrell's funeral home forced to close, families of those waiting to be buried are now searching for answers.
I don't know what to do. I don't have the money to bury her. Plus, I don't even know where they're taking her. So what do I do? Somebody needs to tell me what to do. I don't know.
Now, she says she is being told to call back tomorrow to get more information on her sister's remains. Now, the state says violations here include fraud, deceit, or dishonesty, incompetence, and gross negligence in the practice of mortuary science. They have 60 days to reassign their current contracts or issue refunds. Reporting live in Detroit, Brian Abel, 7 Action News.
Brian, any idea how investigators found out what was happening in this funeral home? Who found those bodies and who blew the whistle?
They were actually tipped off by somebody in the public, seemingly somebody that was inside, saw that something was not right. They came back late in 2017, and then they came back recently to find that the conditions had not changed.
Up in Maine, guys, the operator of a Lewiston, Maine funeral home is apologizing after he allegedly left 11 bodies stored in a basement without refrigeration. According to his attorney, who says the man was struggling with a personal crisis, the Associated Press reported a letter from the attorney said Affordable Cremation Solutions was in the throes of substance abuse during this time. The letter added that the business owner's life was a living nightmare for the past year and a half. But still, guys, I don't care what your problem is. If you're taking money for a service and you're not providing the service, it's fraud. Straight up.
Major Isaac Parker told us that some of the bodies they found had been there since March, and he said the bodies were found throughout the funeral home.
If you walked inside the business itself, you would understand this is abnormal for any funeral home I've been to.
Several agencies worked Friday night into Saturday morning after getting a tip about an odor emitting from the Langford Funeral Home and Family Center.
When we arrived at the scene, of course, our officers did smell a strong odor. It was consistent with decomposing bodies.
Major Isaac Parker says some of the 31 bodies found were in advanced stages of decomposition, and that 16 cremated remains were also found. The Clark County Coroner's Office did take custody of all the remains found, using a large refrigerated trailer.
The Coroner's Office is working diligently at confirming the identity and making contact with the family so they can receive closure.
I'm praying that it's not my son.
Candy Rogers' son Dominic died December 11th. His service was held at Langford. Rogers claims her son wasn't cremated for 6 to 7 weeks after his service, the funeral home providing a number of excuses.
He couldn't get in touch with the coroner. He couldn't get signed off on some bodies that were there. He had a lot of COVID patients, and my son would have to wait.
Rogers did say she was eventually given ashes, but she questions their authenticity. She says she can't confirm it, but feels her son may be one of the bodies that was found.
We trust these people in the hardest time of our lives, at least for me. And to go and do that to somebody, I would never do that to somebody in life. And for them to take advantage of people, and especially to treat your loved ones the way that they did, it's not right.
As of now, Major Parker says no one has been charged with a crime. He did add they have spoken with the funeral home owner, and Jeffersonville police, as well as other entities, are continuing to investigate.
The big picture is to make sure that if there is a victim of any sort of criminal act, that they do receive justice and that they get closure.
Police do ask that if you have entrusted a family member to the Langford Funeral Home recently, to reach out to the department and to the Clark County Coroner's Office. In Jeffersonville, Dakota Sherrick, WDRB News.
I hope that I was able to show you guys this horrible, horrible, and very crazy piece of news. It'll make you think. If you would ever need a funeral home, this episode would certainly make you think about it. Now, all funeral homes aren't bad. Some are. And I picked, I think, what were the 3 worst that I've come across. Hope you enjoyed it, guys. Hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends. It really helps me get into the algorithm, and you can see I only got 108 subscribers, so we need to boost that up. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.